New study reveals nearly half of LGBTQ plus teens considered suicide in 2021. Coming out as LGBTQ plus can be tough, especially in the world of restricted access to resource, thanks to laws like Florida Don't Say Gay bill. The new CDC data shows that 2021 had 46% of American teenagers who identify as homosexual or bisexual teenagers said they have seriously considered suicide in the first 6 months of the year. And 26% of all teenagers who identify as homosexual or bisexual said they have attempted suicide in that same time period. Teenagers who identify as heterosexual were as in much better headspace, with a 13% saying that they have considered suicide and 5% said they have attempted suicide. If you know someone or you have contemplated suicide, please call the Trevor Project at 1-866-488-7386.
These numbers are astounding.
Yeah.
This, when you look at the LGBT community and the high risk in 2021, 48% of people wanting to consider, or 46% considering suicide as their only way out. And we've got these new bills out, like the new Don't Say Gay bill, what we're talking about just now about the marriage, and try to redefine it. You know, these kids are trying to figure out who they are, and then they're being, being pounded from all sides.
And now it's like, I think it's even worse now for the kids. Now it's coming from adults. When I was in high school, I mean, it's not even, it's still bullying in school, but it's not as nearly as when I was in high school, like in the 90s or stuff like that. Because I personally have, one of my workers is a high school kid who goes to Fort Lauderdale High School, and they don't face that. Like, it's the actions of adults. And we're talking about GOP across the nation trying to pass. So it's scary that they're trying to pass on. And this has always been a problem. And it's just,
well, yeah, because the adults should be the people that are their mentors, the people that they
exactly.
look up to for guidance, the ones that show them the way, and they're the ones that are now trying to block.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily their peers, because we've seen as the younger generation comes, they're much more accepting of the LGBTQ community, where our earlier generations, especially mine, because I'm the oldest one at the table, it was about being bullied more than anything else. You didn't really worry about the school because they didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
So
mental health is also something that is often not talked about, and it's very important because, coming up in my day and age, we never had like these groups that they have in schools now, such a safe and outlets where you can actually, talk to someone and get some sort of support when you felt like you had no support from anybody. Yeah. And now they're trying to impose all of these things to take that away from these kids who are now gonna be subject to bullying. And mentally that destroys you.
self-esteem is everything, especially when you're young.
Yeah.
And if you can't build on it.
When I was part of PFLAG for many years, we had parents that would come in, and we would regularly ask during the meetings, even there, you have parents that were there because they were obviously trying to be supportive or were supportive, and we would, ask the question, have you ever, sometimes they would even come to PFLAG with their kids, and we'd also observe the youth group here at SunServe, which is another great organization that helps LGBTQ youth, and ask how many people in the room have considered suicide. And parents' mouths would drop when they would see all of the hands that would go up, and they would say, "Oh, not my child. They didn't think about suicide because I create a loving environment." It has nothing to even do with your parents. It has to do with the rest of the world, and that's why these attacks are so harmful to our community.
I spend a lot of time working with young people. I work with young adults and kids aging out of foster care, and I work with teenagers. And what I do is I coach them into mindfulness and meditation. And we have to really, when we talk about mental health, we have to really start talking about coping mechanisms and skill sets. And I wish somebody would have given me these tools when I was 10 years old so that I could understand how to process my emotions, right? Or understand what was real and what I'm just making up at the moment. And just these really, and just ways to connect and ground myself in this world where there is so much chaos. And, I'm an optimist, so chaos coming out of my mouth is wow, but even I see the chaos, right?
Just curiosity, we've got 5 of us on this panel, all LGBT. like at any point in your life, were you in that state of depression?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
admit to it. I know I was
yeah.
when,
Absolutely.
as a
Most
young kid.
definitely.
So, you know, and we didn't have those resources.
No.
And now you take in all the social media that's coming at you 24/7. And if it's good, that's great. And if it's supportive, but if it's negative and that's covering the news, that depression can be much more aggravated.
Yeah, you remember that campaign, It Gets Better. And so, you know, we're all here standing
Yeah.
saying it gets better.
And to the youth that might be watching, it gets
Yeah.
better. So don't give up, because
Yeah.
the 5 of us here, we're in your shoes and we understand what that's like. And we found our way out of it and found our path.
Yeah.
And there's a path for everyone to feel included and part of this world and make a difference. And
And if
Ketanji,
I-
right, go ahead.
And if I can add, you know, support the Trevor Project, because they're a
They're
wonderful, wonderful organization, and you know, look them up, check them out, and support them.
LGBTQ+ news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Lara are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ+ community.